And we are back. Welcome back, everybody, to this live stream. This time we are here for the qualifying session ahead of the Mexican Grand Prix, and once again, the weather has taken a turn for the worse. Will we ever have a break with this wet weather? It's into conditions for this session, so we'll have to wait and see if the conditions do get drier as the session progresses, and then we'll see where we stand when we come to Q2, of course. But we are about to start with Q1, and I might as well ask you, Ra, who do you believe will be eliminated in the first part of qualifying?
I'm going to say both Williams, both Astons, a McLaren and an Alfa Romeo.
What was that, Ra? I didn't quite hear that with you.
Both Williams, both Aston Martins, a McLaren and an Alfa Romeo.
I'm going to go with both Aston Martins, both Williamses, and I'm going to go the same with you. An Alfa Romeo and a McLaren will get eliminated. That's my prediction. As you can see, as expected, everybody is on the intermediate tyres, so it is light weather for the start of this qualifying session. And we're about to get underway then for the start of Q1 here at Mexico City, as QPOC is about to get underway. As in fact, interestingly enough, Chatfield's actually going on the dry tyres, oddly enough. So, and as are a few others. So, in actual fact, it's not everybody on the Inters. It seems like there's a split across the field, really, in terms of Inters and dry tyres.
Yeah, I think there is dots on the track. I can barely see the screen. It's blurry for me.
Well, you say that, but it is a dry line forming, so that does make me think there may be a wet part of the track, which is why some of the drivers on the Inters. Yes, there are dots though at turn 2 and 3 though, so that could have some impact on that. But anyway, Willows is the first one out on track. We might as well read some predictions in the stream chat, and as you can see, Dennis has said both Aston Martins, both Williamses, and both Alfa Romeos will get eliminated, and he's the only one to have put a prediction down in the stream chat there. So yeah, that's that, as there is now spray, as you can see, at that part of the track where the double right-hander is on the racetrack, but it does go dry again when we get into the S's. So it's going to be very interesting to see, Ra, which one is better, the Inters or the dry tyres?
Yeah, I mean, the drivers who are on the dries, I think will lose a lot on that part of the section, because they have to take it easy, and if they make a mistake, it's all over for them.
Indeed so, as Willows now then is about to start his lap soon. There is spray at some parts of the baseball stadium, but there is dry parts in other sections. I wonder if this will increase as the session continues on though, so we'll have to wait and see. Maybe we could be looking at a one-lap wonder here if the conditions do get worse. We'll have to wait and see. But Willows now then just coming around final couple of the corners now then he will go, as Willows is about to start his first flying lap of Q1 now then, as he makes his way onto the pit straight to start his lap. Now then, all 22 cars are now out on track, so Willow shouldn't have any issues with traffic whatsoever, as he now makes his way down towards the first corner on the racetrack now then, as the McLaren driver blasts his way down towards turns 1, 2 and 3, so through turn 1 and then into turn 2 and 3 now then we will go, as obviously there's still dots around that part of the track now then, as he now approaches the end of the first sector now then on the racetrack. A 21.499 that says in the first sector now then, as looking at everybody else, a 21.820 for Valdinger in that first sector, a 22.116 for Martin, 21.691 for QPOC, as Willows is just coming in around the wet part of the racetrack. But as you can see, the track is still, the sky is still quite bright around here at this stage, and it does appear like there is now spray at this part of the track here, but it does get drier on the second part of the S's, but then wet again. So it does look like the conditions are getting worse here. So it does appear that we could be getting one-lap wonders here, especially for those who are on the dry tyres, if they are the quicker than the Inters. But we'll have to wait and see. Willows now then coming around the stadium section of the racetrack now then, as he will now approach that left-hander dry at this part of the baseball stadium. Into the hairpin he goes, flicking it in for the left, then through into the right, where the spray is back on that part of the track now then. So Willows in towards the final couple of the corners. We will go now then, as Willows into the final corner and onto the pit straight now then will come the two-time world champion. Willows across the line. He will go in the McLaren, and he will do a 1 minute 21.339. Here comes Valdinger on the intermediate tyres. He crosses the line and he goes into second place. Johannes Martins in the Aston Martin, making his way onto the pit straight. He will now cross the line, and he goes into third position as make that fourth, because Kupok goes to third. He's actually behind Valdinger. Chatfield on the dry tyres. He goes into second place, so very interesting there, but not quicker than Willows, who's on the intermediate tyres. Here comes Rahul Patel in the inters. He crosses the line, and he goes into fourth position. Michael Mocho across the line. He goes into third as Carr goes into second place for the moment. Perinen now goes to the top of the timing sheets. Here comes Laura Chong on the intermediate tyres, just ran in the final turn herself onto the pit straight, and across the line will go the Lamborghini driver. Where's she going to place herself? She goes into what is sixth position at this stage. Dominic DeCelli in his first qualifying session in the top class comes across the line, and he's way off. He's down at the back. Lopez is behind Chong as Rote goes behind Mocho. That was Quag who goes into fifth place there. De Rosa slots himself behind Valdinger. Galloway across the line, he will go. He goes into second place, gets in front of Willows. Here comes Jamie Griffiths, who's holding up Evan Byrne around the final couple of corners. Both of them on the intermediate tyres as Griffiths now then looks like these two have been holding each other. Looks like Griffiths is going to go down in last position, and he does go into last, and Byrne joins in with him. So those two have been on each other. When the conditions are getting worse, that's not good for Byrne, it's fair to say. Kloss slots in front of Martins there. Here comes Felix Sontag across the line, and he goes just in front of Martins. Gall across the line, and he goes in front of Kloss, and they are the first runs done with. But yeah, disaster for Byrne there, Ra, especially if the conditions are getting worse.
Yeah, disaster for him, and that's not good, unfortunately, for Evan Byrne. If it gets worse, but yeah, the track is getting wetter, so I think it's important for Chatfield and De Rosa to get the lap on those dries in. But I feel like there might be some improvements to make, but we'll see.
Yep, indeed, as Willows now then comes into pit lane now then. He's in third place at the moment, and I think if the conditions keep worsening, he should be safe indeed. But Byrne's got to hope that they're not worsening, because at the moment he's going to be on the back row of the grid.
Yeah, and you pretty much will have to thank Jamie Griffiths for that. Blame Jamie Griffiths for that, because he has been held up significantly from that.
Yep, indeed. Valdinger in 7th place. His teammate DeCelli, though, in the drop zone down in 19th place. Wasn't exactly the best of first laps for him there, as Valdinger gets wheeled back into the garage. There goes Michael Mocho, who's just made his way into the pit lane with just under 12.5 minutes to go in this session now then. And we'll just have to wait and see if they do get worse or not, because there were still some dry lines on the first qualifying laps there, but whether they've gone away, that might be a bit of a problem for Evan Byrne. We'll have to wait and see on that, as Mocho gets wheeled back into the garage now then, as he's currently in 11th position, 2 seconds off of Jesus Perinin, but I think he should be safe anyway. Kloss just in the cusp of the top 16 threshold, but if the conditions get worse, he should be fine, but we'll have to wait and see on that, really, as all 22 cars are now in the pit lane, as we wait now for the next runs to happen. Kupok is just waiting to go. As you can see, one of the Williams is there, pulls into their box, as you could just see on the left-hand side there of David Kupok. And it looks like no movement at the moment from anyone, although we have to keep an eye on that on the mini-map. But yeah, that's that really, as we now wait for the next cars to go out. Gal's just returned to the garage, as you can see there. Gal, so far in the drop zone at the moment, because as mentioned, Gal is currently 15th. In the drop zone at the moment, as Valdinger goes on track, it is Sontag, Martins, DeCelli, Vaderi, Byrne, and Griffiths. As Valdinger goes out on track, as you can see, there is spray on track, but there's still dry lines, I want to know, as Valdinger makes his way in towards the first couple of corners there, as through turns 1, 2, and 3. We will go on the racetrack now then, as he just comes out of turn 3 there, does Bent Valdinger, as the spray continues to get worse, and it looks like the conditions have gotten worse, it seems. So I do remember that part of the track being a little bit drier, so that could be a problem there for Evan Byrne.
Yeah, it could be a problem for him, but of course he was held up, so he might have lost a lot of time. But I do think some drivers might improve. Maybe some that went on dries might not improve, but we'll have to wait to see.
Yep, but again, as you said, we'll have to wait and see how that one sort of transpires, as Valdinger now then making his way through into the S's now then. We will go as Valdinger prepares to start his lap. I think all of the track is now wet, in fact, because I haven't seen a dry line emerge from any of this. Is now Valdinger making his way into the baseball stadium of the racetrack. There are still some cars in the pit lane, as you can see on the mini-map on the top right of your screen, so we'll have to wait and see if Valdinger gets caught up in traffic. And of course, the unique thing about that pit lane exit is that when cars come out of there, they'll still be building up speed. So if you're on a lap, you could get caught up by that guy that's coming out of the pit, and you might need to take avoiding action. So we'll have to wait and see. But Valdinger starting his lap now then as he makes his way onto the pit straight, and it looks like he's going to get a clear run. As I say that, there is a car that's just come out there, so I don't know if Valdinger is going to get caught up there. It was a Lamborghini, but I think there's just enough of a gap between himself and Valdinger heading into the first few corners there. Through the left and then into the right-hander there will go Bence Valdinger in the Alfa Romeo as he makes his way onto the back straight now then on the track, making his way towards left-hander, and he's 7/10 down, I think that says on his personal best, in Sector 1. So, and currently Valdinger, well, he is safe from the looks of it at the moment. He is in 7th place, but that could be bad news for Evan Byrne if he's not able to find any time in these conditions. And from the signs that we're seeing from Valdinger, that might be a bit of a problem for him.
Yeah, that might be a problem for Byrne, unfortunately. But we'll have to wait and see. But there is a Red Bull behind Bence Valdinger, so I don't know if that Red Bull will catch up to him. So I don't know if it's Byrne or Rogue, but we'll find out later.
0.2 seconds off his personal best in the middle sector is Bence Valdinger. So yeah, this looks like it's not going to be an improvement for him. The conditions have got worse, and that's not going to be good news for Evan Byrne and Jamie Griffiths, who held each other up on that first lap. Gal is the only one that stayed in the pits out of all of this, so he's decided to stay in the garage. Maybe he thinks that because the conditions have gotten worse, that it's done enough for him to get through there. But Valdinger, around the final corner he goes and onto the pit straight, and Valdinger will come across the line now then, and it doesn't improve as expected. That was Roke who's behind. He's down in 12th place at the moment. Mocho has got, well, Byrne has not started a lap yet, but Byrne has got more traffic in front of him, so it seems like he's getting caught up in traffic in these sessions now then, as Mocho makes his way around the final turn and onto the pit straight. He's got a bit of a gap as Mocho across the line. No improvement for him as Byrne starts his lap, as here comes Q-Puck. No improvement for him as expected, and I think that's going to be the same here for Rahul Patel and also for Franco Lopez, who is getting held up by Rahul Patel at this stage now then, as they come around the final couple of the corners on the racetrack. Patel through the final turn and onto the pit straight now then. He will go as Patel crosses the line, and no improvement as expected. Same with Lopez. Perinin 3 seconds off his personal best. Quag 2 seconds, well, 1.5 seconds off his personal best, that said. Willows coming onto the pit straight across the line. He will go, and he was off the pace by 2 seconds, I think that said on his def panel there. 4.13 seconds there for Chatfield. Here comes Galloway across the line. 4 seconds for him there. Galloway he's finished his lap. Ticelli off on his personal best as expected, and he looks like he's going to be stuck in that drop zone, which could be a bad omen for Evan Byrne as well. And those two don't improve. Chung coming around the final couple of corners, not up on her personal best. Let's see how much by as she makes her way around the final corner and onto the pit straight. And Chung is on a 1 minute 23 as a result. Here comes George Roke, not up on his personal best as expected, and he's 1 second off his personal best. Videri down the pit straight, across the line, and down on his personal best. Sontag around the final corner, and he's 17th. It looks like he's just going to miss out on a Q2 appearance, and he is off the pace there. Griffiths, and it's Griffiths and Byrne once again down that straight, but both of them are not improving. And yep, so yeah, I think really, I don't think they held each other up that time, Ra. So really, yeah, their hold up on the first lap is really knocked out, and I think Byrne is going to be on the back row of the grid tomorrow.
Yeah, and that's just not good. That first lap was costly, getting held up by Griffiths. I mean, wrong place, been sent out at the wrong time.
Indeed, and well, that's pretty much that really. And well, that might be that really, unless the conditions dramatically improve with just over 6 minutes to go here in Q1 as Q-Pot gets wheeled back into the garage. But as things stand, Rob, Byrne has got a big task in front of him in tomorrow's race.
Yeah, and it's ironic that it's a Williams that has cost Red Bull a lot there because of remember what happened in Malaysia. But of course, this is the roles reversed. The Williams was causing it, unlike in Malaysia, because of course it was their teammates, Roke and Sontag, who crashed out. Of course, Roke caused the incident. They both crashed out in Q1. Rogue started 21st, Sontag 22nd. Now is the roles reversed, and this time for their teammates.
Yep, indeed, and that's not going to be good. And Bernie's not going to be happy with Griffiths one bit, I am sure, with that. And he knows he's probably got a mammoth task in front of him if he wants to try and prevent Lopez from pulling away even further in the Drivers' Championship. As Miklos Gal is coming out on the track, I think, just to get some mileage on these intermediate tyres. I guess a good omen for Q2, really, because given that nobody was able to improve on that first lap, Gal should be okay to go through into the second part of qualifying. As a result, unless, as mentioned, the conditions dramatically change all of a sudden. But I don't think that's going to be the case at all, really, if we're being totally honest. But anyway, even though we do have bright skies, it's not really an omen, really, to be paying attention to, despite what I've said about the skies on a few occasions. So, now then, out on the racetrack now then he goes, as he now makes his way through the first few turns on the racetrack, and he'll be just trying to get as much mileage as he can on these intermediate tyres to get himself ready for Q2. But could it be intermediate conditions, or could we see maybe a difference in conditions for Q2? I'll have to wait and see what the weather forecast has to say about that.
Yeah, we'll have to see what the forecast will be in Q2 and also Q3. Don't forget, of course, we have to look at in Q2. So it might start wet, but how wet will it be?
Who will know indeed, as Gal now they're making his way through into the S's now. Then we're just over 4 minutes to go in this session. Chatfield has also gone out to get some mileage in with Valdinger, Lopez as well, Kupok out there as well, Patel out there. Obviously Gal is out there. Dicelli's gone out there, even though I think it's more than likely he is going to get eliminated in the first part of qualifying. And not exactly what he wanted from his first qualifying, but at least he hasn't qualified on the back row. I guess that's the crucial thing for his opening weekend in the top class, I suppose.
Yeah, indeed. Of course, him being behind Martins and Sontag, who are on slower cars than what he is driving. I mean, it's not ideal, but I mean, it's experience. He's got the experience, and he's got to continue on. The race is important for him.
Yep, and it'll be interesting to see what he's able to do in his first top class race tomorrow. Of course, this turn one, of course, does have a little bit of a tendency to have some lap one crashes. So whether we'll get that in this season, we'll have to wait and see. As Gal has to overtake a McLaren there, who just came out of the pits, but it's not going to really affect his lap time because it is completely wet on the racetrack as he just makes his way through turns 2 and 3 now then on the racetrack, as Gal now then approaching the end of the first sector. Just for comparison's sake, he's 1.4 seconds off of Perinen in that first sector. I think that says on the graphic at the bottom there, and it looked like Gal with a bit of oversteer kicking in there going into the chicane, as he's now going to be locked up. Yeah, I thought that was the case, as he's now coming up to the back of one of the Williamses there, so maybe he'll have to overtake him before this lap comes to a close. But I do think these will be the final flying laps of Q1, really. So really it's just basically a mileage run really on these third flying laps, as he now makes his way through into the S's, through into the right and left-hander. Now then we go, and Gal 3 seconds off of Perinin as expected in that middle sector now then, as Gal will make his way towards the stadium section of the racetrack now then, as he'll pass where the crowd is at the moment, as he's now coming up to the back of that Williams car. Through into the hairpin we go, as Gal will be crossing the line very soon. Be curious to see what sort of lap time he's going to be able to produce by the end of Q1 now then, as he makes his way into the final couple of corners through Mansell and then into the second part of the Peraltala we will go, as the Williams actually get some better traction coming out of there, as Gal now then making his way onto the pit straight and across the line now then we will go, and no improving as expected. I think that was a 1:25 he set there for his time, so around 5 seconds off of Perinin there as a result. Valdinger making his way around the final couple of turns himself now then in the Alfa Romeo. Obviously he's through anyway because he's in 7th place. Valdinger across the line, he will go, and he 3.2 seconds off of Perinin in the end there. Then Kupok across the line, he does a 1 minute 23.9 there. Mocho across the line, he will go in the Haas now then, as he obviously is safely through anyway. 124 for Mocho on that occasion. Chatfield across the line, he will go in the Ferrari now then, he does a 1 minute 23.2. Lopez crossing the line himself in the Mercedes, he does a 1 minute 23.5. Videri will probably just get one lap before the session ends really, just to get some mileage in his car, even though he is out of qualifying because he is down in 20th position. A bit of oversteer there for Patel coming around that pedal Tyler there, as he will now cross the line. A 1 minute 24.4 for him. Dominic DeCelli in his first qualifying session, he's now going to come across the line himself in the Alfa Romeo, and it is a 1 minute 25.6, a 1 minute 23 there for Roke, so that's that for him. A 1 minute 23 as well for Jesus Perinen. Galloway, who's finished this session in second place, he crosses the line now then to do a 1 minute 24.0. Roman Krog across the line, he will go now then in at the Renault, and he does a 1 minute 23.9. Amar Carr, let's see what sort of lap time he can do in the Mercedes as he rounds the final couple of turns himself on this racetrack now. Then Carr around the final corner and onto the pit straight now then he will go, as let's see what sort of time you can do. A 1 minute 25.3, not exactly great, not the quickest we've seen in these conditions. 1 minute 26 and 1 minute 24 for Kloss. Looks like those two are holding each other over on that occasion. Just under a minute to go now before the end of Q1. Sontag across the line, he will go. A 1 minute 26.0, a 1 minute 25 for Willows, 1 minute 24, 1 minute 22. Byrne's gone up. Byrne has actually got out of the drop zone out of nowhere. So how the hell has he done that?
Yeah, I can't believe he's actually managed to do that.
How on earth did Byrne do that? The conditions have got worse, and he somehow made it through into Q2. So he's actually pushed he's pushed Kloss out of qualifying. How the hell did Byrne do that?
Yeah, we need to see his sector times. You know, I don't know how on earth has he been able to do that. Kloss actually made a mistake for that lap. We're gonna have to see that entire lap again.
How the hell did Byrne achieve that? And, well, that is a determination right there. He was down on his personal best. I think he might have got some slipstream from these two cars in front here, which might have given him a bit of a helping hand. In fact, he was up in the middle sector, so that suggests that maybe he A, made a mistake on his previous lap, or B, he was held up again by Griffiths.
He must have been held up by Griffiths so much by that sector.
Does get held up, but importantly, he doesn't get held up at the point where it should be. So he's able to use some slipstream down this straight from the Lamborghini in front, and that has been enough for Byrne to get himself above Lopez and get himself through into Q2. What magic there from Evan Byrne.
Yeah, and he still gained time in the final sector, but it wasn't that significant, unlike his first lap. So yeah, pretty fortunate to get through into Q2 is Evan Byrne.
Absolutely, and well, that was very impressive there for Byrne. I honestly thought he was out and done with that, but clearly not. And Byrne has got his Red Bull through into the second part of qualifying, and well, as a result, he's actually pushed Kloss out of qualifying. So Kloss will be down in 17th for the grid for tomorrow, and well, Vaderi, who we're running on board with, is actually going to be on the back row with Jamie Griffiths, as we've got a few seconds left on the clock now. Then Vaderi crosses the line, and 4.4 seconds off as a result, and well, that's that really, and that is the session done with. As ever, you've got the pit indicator, and that is Q1 done with, and quite a dramatic end there. Byrne just saving himself there, and he is through into the second part of qualifying. So your top three are Jesus Perinen, Jake Galloway, and Joseph Willows, and a reminder of your bottom six, by the way, as a reminder. It is Bartosz Kloss, Felix Sontag, Johannes Martins, Dominic DeCelli, Andre Vaderi, and Jamie Griffiths. So that is that for Q1. So we're just going to take a brief pause for the moment whilst we wait for Yuri to get everything set for Q2. But in the meantime, guys, you can let us know your prediction on who you believe will be eliminated in the second part of qualifying. But in the meantime, I'm just going to mute myself and get the tweet prepared for Twitter. So apologies if I go silent for a little bit. I am back, and that took a while, that did, because I couldn't find a photograph of Jesus Perinim for some reason, but eventually got there, and, well, that's that, really, and, it's going to be very, very interesting to see what Q2 has in store, really, and it should be interesting to see what the weather conditions are going to be like, Rob, because, of course, they did get worse as the session went on, but it will be interesting to see what sort of tyres they'll be running, of course. Will we still have the intermediate tyres, or could we be on the normal wet? So I'll have to wait and see, of course.
Yeah, we'll have to wait to see. And it could be mixed between dry to wet, but of course you'll most likely start wet, but we'll have to wait and see.
Indeed, and of course we'll obviously see what this is also going to be like for Q3 as well a little bit later on. Bernard, of course, though, pulling it out of the bag right at the last minute there, and well, I know that Bern is saying that it was because he had a clean lap. I think partly that, but also as well, I think it's also a bit of a mystery as well, because it was slightly dry on the first flying lap, so there was less grip than what there was on the first part, so that makes it a little bit confusing to me why it was just all of a sudden a clean lap. But either way, it was still impressive nonetheless. But anyway, we still got intermediate tyres for Q2, and I think that's probably going to be the case going into Q3 by the looks of it. But we'll wait and see. But without further ado, let's get into the second part of qualifying. But anyway, might as well ask you, Ra, who do you believe will be eliminated in this part of qualifying? Ra, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
I asked you a question. Who do you believe will be eliminated in the second part of qualifying?
I'm gonna say Benz, both McLarens, both AlphaTauris, and a Lamborghini.
I'm going to say, this is a tough one. I'm going to say, Valdinger will get eliminated. I think, I'm going to say both AlphaTauris will get eliminated. I'm also going to say a Haas will get eliminated. I'm going bold there. I'm also going to say a Lamborghini will get eliminated. And, you know what? I'm going to say one McLaren. I think one of them could actually make it into Q3, if I'm being totally honest. But we'll wait and see. But that's a bit bold. Anyway, I've got to change my headphones because they are dying. So just take over for a little bit, Ra.
Yep. Let's see who will be the first one to go out on track as we are waiting. We're looking at Cooper because there's a Ferrari going through, and that is Chris Chatford in the Ferrari who's going to be the first to go out on track. Right, because for Ferrari, yep, the track is wet. The clouds have gone darker compared to Q1, and it is raining on the screen. More drivers coming out on track are Marcel, Franco Lopez, Nico Scout, Russell Monterosa also on track. Ben Spouninger follows them. And so we've got like 6 cars on track, make that 7 because Michael Motch's on track. David Kubock's now on track. So it's 8, now 9. Lord Chunks now on track. Evan Burns not George Ruggs that gone on track. That's 10 now. There's someone else who's also gone on track. That means I think Nico Scout. Evan Burns is also on track as well. I think everyone should be on track by now. So there will be clear air for the first runs.
Yep. So clean run there for Chris Chatfield. I've just come back now that I've switched my my headphones there. So that's that really. As Dennis for some reason saying chat Chrisfield on the circuit. But anyway, I don't know if you read the predictions of anybody else in the stream chat, so I might as well do that very, very quickly. Dennis has said Valdinger, Mocho, both AlphaTauris and both Lamborghinis will get eliminated. That's what Dennis's prediction is in the stream chat. But anyway, Chris Chatfield is about to start his first flying lap of Q2 now then, as the Ferrari driver will make his way onto the pit straight, and Chatfield is going to start his first flying lap now then. There's a bit of a dry line where the start-finish line is, but it's clearly not a lot of it at the moment, so that could be something to keep an eye on at the moment. It's like a straight line full of dryness there. As anyways, Chris Chatfield now then making his way through into the first couple of corners, as luckily for him, as mentioned, no traffic because all 16 cars are out on the racetrack. Chatfield now then approaching the end of the first sector now then, as he does a 22.1 5.5, it says in that first sector there, 5.17 to be exact there for Chris Chatfield, as some more people have come out of the first sector there. 22.351 for Lopez, a 22.167 for Carr, so a pretty good first sector for him there. A 22.884 for De Rosa, a 22.546 for Gall, and a 22.766 for Valdinger at the moment. So quite interesting what's going on in that first sector there, as Chatfield will be approaching the end of sector 2 in just a little bit, just as he's come out of the essay. The 54.512 in the middle sector there for Chris Chatfield, as he now approaches the stadium section of the racetrack now. Then, he's made a mistake. He's made a big error there. Oh, has he had contact? I think he's had contact with Armar Carr there, because he was right behind. So clearly, Carr getting a little bit impatient with the Ferrari there.
Yeah, that was a bit surprising there. Let's see. Yep, just a small tap. Not once, but twice, actually.
Yep, so both of those laps would have gone down the drain as a result, and both Chris and Armour will not be happy with each other on that occasion. But anyway, Carr now approaching the final couple of corners, he will go. They've also got Franco Lopez right behind. But anyway, Carr now, who had a pretty impressive sector 1, but has thrown that now in the drain, and he's also having a bit of oversteer through into the Pedal as he will now make his way onto the pit straight, and Armar Carr is now going to cross the line, and he does a 1:24 as a result. Chatfield goes into second. Lopez, I think, should go quicker, and he does. He does a 1:23 as a result. Miklos Gau across the line goes into second place. Kirishima De Rosa in the McLaren makes his way onto the pit straight, and across the line he will go now then, and he will go in front of Chatfield there, as expected, because Chatfield, of course, got pushed off the track. Valdinger goes in front of De Rosa there into fourth. Macho across the line, he will go in the Haas now then. Across the line he goes, and he goes into second place, gets himself in front of Miklos Gau. David Kupok across the line, he will go now then, and he will slot himself into fourth place behind teammate Gau. Chung across the line in the Lamborghini onto the pit straight. She will go now then, and she will go behind Carr there, as Roke goes there. As now Byrne goes to the top by 9/10 of a second. So Byrne to the top of the timing sheets. Roke slots in behind Armar Carr. I think there may have been some traffic. Quar goes into second there. Good time for him there. Here comes Jake Galloway in the second Ferrari. And where's he going to place himself? He actually goes into fourth position there. So P4 for Jake Galloway. Joseph Willows in the McLaren across the line. He will go now then, and he goes into, well, he slots behind Armar Carr at the moment, and he goes into P number 9 at the moment. Here comes Jesus Perinen in the Renault now then, and not looking at a very good lap, and well, he's still in the top 10. He gets himself in between the two AlphaTauri drivers. Patel goes in front of Perinen there and gets himself into 7th position, and they are the first ones done with. But yeah, as in fact, hold the phone, because we've got a yellow flag, and it's Kirishima De Rosa, and he's got a mechanical failure, so De Rosa's session has come to an end.
Yep, and he was be starting 15th or worse, unfortunately for him. I mean, he's likely going to be starting 16th, but that's a shame. Again, a mechanical failure in qualifying.
Yep, indeed, and well, that session done for him, because of course the spare car ban will come into an effect, and of course Yuri is able to do that without the need of pausing anymore, thanks to the new computer that he's got. But yeah, that's the Rosa session over, and as you said, Ra, he's going to be starting at maximum in 15th place, but I expect it to be 16th, because of course Chatfield obviously got punted off on the first lap.
Yeah, and of course Carr even lost time from that, so those two are expected to improve. Of course, surprisingly, Roke is in 12th. I think he might have been held up by Chung, but I think there was a good enough gap. So I'm surprised that Roke is in 12th. I don't know if he had a bad. I think he might have had a bad lap somewhere.
Galloway into the pit lane there as he goes into, he's currently in 4th place at the moment. I do expect his teammate to improve, but there is De Rosa, and he is going to be in the garage for the rest of the session. His session is now done as a result of that, and well, he's got a bit of a task, so it's really only down to Willows to try and get McLaren through into Q number 3.
Yep, down to Willows. I mean, he's in 11th. I mean, he's close to the top 10, but he's 2.6 seconds off. I mean, he's 5/10 off of Armor Car. I mean, it's possible, but we'll wait and see on that one.
Yep, indeed. Roke currently in the drop zone at the moment as we speak. I think he obviously got held up in traffic, if I'm not mistaken. So more improvement for him. Of course, Carr running to the back of Chris Chatfield on that first lap. So I expect maybe an improvement for him as well. I do expect, so as a result, I am expecting a few improvements when we get onto the second laps, Ra.
Yeah, we expect a few improvements. Maybe everyone could improve, but we'll have to wait. We'll see on that one.
Yep, indeed, as we have 8.5 minutes to go in this session now then. As Yuri just pointing out, then apparently everybody was improving on the in-lap. Was that not just down to the fuel, or was it a big gap on that lap there, I wonder? Over 3 temps. Okay, so maybe something to bear in mind there when we get on to the second flying laps now. Then as a Kupok is about to go up, but he's been beaten to the punch by Chris Chatfield, who's not wasting any time whatsoever. Car surprisingly doesn't get out first onto the racetrack on this occasion, but luckily for Chatfield, Car is nowhere near him. So I think as long as he doesn't make a mistake, in theory, he should get an improvement on this occasion.
Yep, Kupok goes on track this time with Valdinger as well, so Car's waiting for a bit more.
Yep, indeed, as Chatfield just comes out of turn 3 there, just preparing himself to start his next lap in qualifying now. Then, of course, Valdinger and Kupok and Gallo also out there as well. So both AlphaTauris making their way out onto the track at this stage as well. Looks like there is some more rain, as you can see there on the camera, but it does look like it is. It's not really improving or worsening the track in any way, shape, or form. So I think we're in similar conditions to what we were on the first flying laps. As Chatfield now then making his way around the S's now, then he will go through the right, then into the left, and then into the right left. He will go on that racetrack, so flicking the car in through the right and left-hander will go Chatfield as he prepares to start his second flying lap, which he hopes will be an improvement, providing, of course, he doesn't make a mistake. Still a few cars in the pit lane as we speak at the moment. Chatfield is making his way around the final couple of corners on the racetrack before he starts his second flying lap of Q2. Flicks it in through the hairpin, through the right-hander he goes, and then into the final couple of corners will go Chris Chatfield in the Ferrari. Through the penultimate turn, and then around the final corner and onto the pit straight now, then will come Chris Chatfield in the Ferrari as he now makes his way onto the pit straight, and Chatfield will start his lap now then as he makes his way onto the pit straight. Luckily for him, no traffic in front, as even though there's still 2 cars in the pit lane, he is clear of that, so it should be a clean lap for Chris Chatfield, barring any mistake, of course, for the third time I've mentioned that. So through turns 1, 2, and 3, we'll go Chatfield now then in the Ferrari as he now flicks the car in for the right-hander, using a bit of curb on the outside before Chatfield making his way towards the end of the first sector now then, and he's 1/10 up on his personal best in Sector 1, and obviously that was a clean Sector 1, of course, on his first flying lap, so even then he's still going up on that first sector. Of course, could the thing with what Yuri just mentioned about everybody improving on their in-laps by a certain margin may come into an effect here, so we could maybe see a load more improvements. Of course, De Rosa won't be able to get that opportunity. He is out of qualifying, of course, as he was out thanks to, I think it was a gearbox issue that took him out of the session in the end there. So that's pretty much that there for De Rosa, as now Chatfield comes up towards the end of Sector 2. This was also a clean one, and he's 4 temps up on his personal best in the middle sector, and this was obviously the sector where it all went a bit wrong when he and Carr made contact. So he's up on the 2 sectors that he did have clean on that first lap, but now he's into the point where he obviously had that contact, so you would imagine he's going to have a big margin. But let's see what Chatfield's able to do then on this lap then, as the Ferrari driver makes his way around the final couple of corners, as he'll now make his way onto the pit straight now then, and Chris Chatfield is now going to cross the line in the Ferrari. Let's see what he's able to do across the line, and he goes up into 4th position. And much better lap there. David Kupok up on his personal best meanwhile, as he's now going to come across the line, and he improves to go into 7th place. Patel starting his lap. Valdinger up on his personal best, goes up to 7th. Gal goes into 2nd place. So yeah, maybe the conditions are improving, although Mocho is down on his personal best in the middle sector, unless he can maybe gain it in the last sector. I do wonder. Let's see anyways. Mocho comes around the final corner. Lopez is up on his personal best behind. Meanwhile, so Mocho now then across the line he goes, and he goes up to 4th. So he finds time last sector. Lopez goes up to 2nd place. Here comes Armar Carr in the Mercedes now then on a cleaner lap, and he goes up into 4th place himself. So a lot of 4th places on this occasion. Roman Quarg, as Byrne goes even quicker, but only by a few hundreds there. Quarg goes up into 4th place. Here comes Loa Chung now then in the Lamborghini up on her personal best. She crosses the line, and she goes into 13th place. She's still in the drop zone. Is Chung. Willow's across the line, and he's still in the drop zone, but improves to 14th place. Roke up on his personal best, and he needs to, because he's down in the drop zone now. Then is George Roke, as he'll now make his way through into the final couple of corners. He will go on the racetrack, so through the final turn and onto the pit straight now. Then will come George Roke in the Red Bull now. Then he's on the pit straight, and across the line he will go, and he goes into 6th place, so gets himself out of that drop zone. Perinen goes into 7th place. Galloway across the line goes into P9 there, and Chatfield goes back into the pits as we now look at Patel, and I don't know if he's holding up that AlphaTauri, but either way, he is up on his personal best in the middle sector. So is Gal as well, but I don't know if those two have been holding each other up. And important to note, Patel is in the drop zone at the moment. Gal obviously is coming back into the pits, of course, as now Patel will come onto the pit straight and across the line. He will go, and he goes into, that is 8th position, so he pushes Chatfield back into the drop zone as a result, and they are the second runs done, as we actually got a dry line emerging at that chicane there. So that might explain why we had some lap time improvements, because there are now dry lines emerging. I wonder, because I think there may be time for some drivers to get one more lap in, I wonder if we could see some more improvements on the third lap.
Yeah, we might see more improvements on the third lap if some drivers get out on time, but we'll wait and see. I think some might, maybe Cooper can. I mean, Patel is safe, maybe not, but maybe he is safe, maybe not. I mean, it's good he got that improvement to get into the top 10, but he left it pretty late.
Yep, indeed. As we now get ready to try and get onto the next flying laps there. And but as mentioned, there are dry lines emerging at this stage, so there may be more time to improve, providing they get out of time. Of course, they need to get out before the 1 minute 22 mark to have any chance of advancing, to have a chance of having one more flying lap to try and advance into the final part of qualifying here, to then obviously determine who will get pole position for tomorrow's Mexican Grand Prix here at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, as Willows is going to get pushed back into the garage now then in the McLaren. So that's that for him, with just under 2 3/4 minutes to go in this session now then. And Willows now then making his way into the garage, as Willows now then, will he be able to go out on time? I'm not sure really, but we'll have to wait and see. But he is the only McLaren, and so far it looks like the two McLarens are going to be locking out row 8 at the moment, unless Willows gets out on time and gets out and tries to do another improvement, as we wait now to see, as it looks like Kupok is going out there, so he's going to give himself one more lap, and it could be a crucial lap because he's currently down in the drop zone, is David Kupok. So in fact, he's going to get beaten by Chris Chatfield once again, who's also down in the drop zone, so he's giving himself one more chance to try and get through into the final part of qualifying in this session. So Chatfield now then goes out onto the racetrack. Kupok will also join him as well in the AlphaTauri, and so Chatfield heading down towards the first corner. There is that dry line that we noticed there as well, so that could be something to bear in mind, and may see the drivers improve a little bit further in this qualifying session. Kupok has gone out on track as expected. Anybody else going to join these two? They need to be getting out there before the 1 minute 22 mark, otherwise that will be qualifying done, Q2 done for them, I should say, as now through the left and right hander we will go. Car has gone out on track, meanwhile, for Mercedes, as has Bence Valdinga. So that's that, really. 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, and that's that. Mocho has gone out on time, as has Byrne, I think, just about. But Willows, obviously DeRosa, Chung have not gone out. So Chung and Willows, I think it's safe to say, have been eliminated in Q2. Chatfield, Valding, and Kupok, well, Chung's gone out now, but she's come out a bit too late. So it's only going to be those three, really, that have given themselves a chance to try and advance into the final part of qualifying here. And it will be interesting to see if they are able to make the difference on that third lap.
Yep, it'll be interesting. Of course, Gallo is in trouble. Patel's definitely going to be in trouble. I don't know about his Perenin. I think he should be safe on this one, but I think he could be in a bit of trouble here.
We shall see, as now Chatfield starts his final flying lap of Q number 2 now then, as he now crosses the line to start that lap, and now heading his way down the pit straight now then on the racetrack. There is a car in front of him as he gets onto that dry line. It looks like it's a Red Bull, so Chatfield needs to dispose of this Red Bull pretty quickly into the first corner, but it's not going to happen, and Chatfield is going to get held up. But could this dry line maybe save him, I wonder? We'll have to wait and see as he comes around the first few turns on the racetrack. Up towards the end of Sector 1 we go now then on the racetrack, and Chatfield, and he is down on his personal best, so that hold up from the Red Bull has not helped. So he's got to, not by much, but we'll have to wait and see if he's able to try and recuperate that in the last two sectors, as we've got just over 10 seconds to go now then here in Q2, as Chatfield now then through to the double right-hander. He will go on the racetrack now then 6, 5, and then 4, then 3, then 2, and then 1, and now 0, and the checkered flag is out. That is the end of the session. Now then, there is a dry line through into these S's, so we'll see if Chatfield's up on his personal best through this middle sector. Let's have a look into the middle sector. He's actually purple in the middle sector, so there is more time to find. He's over a second up on his personal best in the middle sector, so Chatfield's gone purple in that middle sector. So, this could be very interesting. It'll be interesting to see who's going to get eliminated here. I think Chung and Willows are already eliminated because they didn't get out in time. But here comes Chatfield now then through into the stadium section. He goes now then to finish off his lap here in Q2. So now, through the final 2 corners goes the Ferrari driver through the Pelotala. He will now go as Chatfield is going to come onto the pit straight. Is it going to be enough to get himself through into Q2 now then? Chatfield across the line. He will go and he goes to the top of the timing screen. So Chatfield is probably through into Q3. Q-Park across the line. He will go and he goes to the top of the timing screens as well. So Mocho and Galloway in the drop zone as we speak right now. Carr is up on his personal best. Meanwhile, is he going to be able to go to the top of the timing screens in the Mercedes? Let's see. So Carr now then through the final turn and onto the pit straight now then will go the Mercedes driver as he now makes his way onto the pit straight, and Amar Carr across the line. He will go and he goes to the top of the timing screens by over a second as expected. Valdinger, can he get his Alfa Romeo through into Q3? Across the line he goes and he goes up into second place. A good job from him. Mocho, can he get himself out of the drop zone across the line? And he can, only just. He's pushed Perinen into the drop zone. There's something happened to Mocho there on that lap, I wonder.
Yeah, he's gone a bit wide.
He made a mistake through into the S's there, just as he did in practice when it was dry. But, yeah, he was purple in the middle sector until Chatfield and Cooper posted the time. He even made a little mistake through into the stadium section there. So it's been a scruffy lap, but it might have been enough for Mocho to get through. I'm not sure if there's anybody else on the track that's going to make it, but that's that. Patel is out. Byrne is up on his personal best as he now rounds the final turn himself, and onto the pit straight will go Evan Byrne in the Red Bull now then, as Byrne is now going to come across the line, and he goes into second place with that time there then. Lopez across the line, he goes to the top of the timing squeeze, beats Carr, and it's a Mercedes 1-2, and that is Q2 done with Perinin, Patel, Galloway, Chung, Willows, and De Rosa out of qualifying really. So it really got spicy on that final flying lap. So the top 3, Lopez, Carr, and Byrne. Your bottom 6 are Perinin, Patel, Galloway, Chung, Willows, and De Rosa. But yeah, a very intense end to Q2 there, Ra.
Yeah, very intense Q2 there. Disappointing for De Rosa to get the failure. I mean, Lamborghini leapt pretty late on the first 2 runs and pretty much cost him a chance of Q3. He did well with the laps, but it cost him a chance in Q3.
Indeed. Well, we're just going to take a brief pause while Jimmy sorts out Q3. But in the meantime, guys, let us know who you believe will take pole position for tomorrow's Mexican Grand Prix. But in the meantime, I'm going to mute myself to prepare for the tweet for Twitter. So apologies if I go a little bit silent for the moment.
Yep, Benz Valdinger in Q3. What a lap from him. Just after he has been confirmed to remain at the team. That will be renamed as Sauber. Let's see what he can do in Q3. I think the maximum will probably be 10th, but we'll see if it can happen.
I am back, and that's that really. So yeah, a very, very interesting Q2 indeed, and it does make you wonder, Raw, what Q3 has in store.
Yeah, could it be wet or could it be dry? It's pretty much on the unknown.
It is going to be an unknown indeed. Of course, it was getting drier towards the end of Q2, so that may be something to see if that's still going to be the case when we get into Q3 as well. So, yeah, it's going to be quite interesting indeed. Of course, Byrne scraping a Q1 elimination there right at the end, and, well, was looking pretty quick in Q number 2 before obviously the conditions changed. So imagine if he got pole position after all of that. That would be quite incredible indeed. But we'll have to wait and see, of course, if Byrne can achieve that or not. He will still have two very hungry Mercedes, and of course George Roku is looking to try and get another pole position in 2022. And well, going to do all he can to try and see if he can get retained by Red Bull for next season and prevent Amar Khan from being there next season. But of course we'll have to wait and see how that one kind of develops really as we go on, of course. But yeah, it's going to be quite interesting indeed, and how Q3 is going to unfold, and well, it's going to be quite interested to see who's going to get pole position for tomorrow's Mexican Grand Prix. We've had two very interesting sessions, it's fair to say, and who knows if Q3 can live up to that or not, as obviously it's going to be quite an interesting fight for pole. Obviously towards the end of Q2 with the conditions drying out, it's obviously caught out Perinen as well, because it looked like for a moment he was going to get through into Q3, but because of the changeable conditions he ended up going out into the drop zone as a result, and also Mocho only by the skin of his teeth getting through into Q3 after quite a scruffy final lap for the Haas driver. But the most important thing is he did make it through, and of course he will be the only Haas representative in Q number 3, because of course Kloss got eliminated in Q1, getting caught out in the conditions there, especially with Byrne's incredible final lap that he was able to put in towards that end of the session really. So it's going to be interesting to see what Q3 has in store really. Will we be seeing the dry tyres in this session again or not? We'll have to wait and see. Will we still see the intermediate tyres being used as well? But a lot of questions going into this final part of qualifying, but either way it should be quite an exciting one. I am pretty sure about it, as we just wait for Yuri to sort out what needs to be sorted out for Q number 3, and then we can get going for the final part of qualifying. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to this one, that is for sure really. Obviously disappointment for Kirishima De Rosa, didn't really get a chance to try and see what the changeable conditions were going to be like after the mechanical failure he had, and as a result both McLarens, because Willow's failed to get out in time during the improved conditions, will be on row 8 as a result really. Not exactly ideal for McLaren really.
Yeah, not ideal, but anything can happen. Maybe they could get points, but they gotta avoid the first lap melee.
Yep, indeed, and obviously that will be something for the guys towards the back of the field need to keep an eye on as well, especially Bartosz Kloss, who's in 17th place for tomorrow's race. So that could be quite interesting indeed, as we're still waiting for the Q3 to get underway. Okay, fair enough. Yuri's just trying to get the correct weather, of course, because obviously, for anybody who's just tuned in, of course, we did have a rule change when it came to the weather system, of course. The weather system now being based on what it was towards the end of each session, really, when it comes to qualifying. So rather than what we did in the past, which is base it on what the weather forecast was going to be suggesting, it is now based on what the conditions are like towards the end of each session. And of course, we saw that the track was drying towards the end of Q2, really. And so that could be something to keep an eye on when we get into Q3, obviously at this stage, but we're just waiting for the weather to actually play ball at the moment in Yuri's favour really, and GP4 not playing a ball at the moment with Yuri at this stage. So yeah, it's going to be we'll just have to just bear with, guys, and we'll get Q3 underway, and then we'll get on with the fight for pole position for tomorrow's Mexican Grand Prix. Of course, we do have other streams on later. We do have the Formula 2 stream over at Brno for their Czech Grand Prix. Of course, I did mention yesterday during the commentary for F2, because I was alongside Kurisu, that Nico can't win the championship. Made a mistake. He does have a slim chance of winning the championship today, but he does need a lot of luck. I kind of forgot really that the bonus points that get awarded for F2 actually changed at the beginning of the season. Really, it's not the 4 and 2 that we had in the past. So 4 for pole and 2 for the fastest lap that we had in the past. It's now 2 for pole position and 1 for the fastest lap, for the fastest driver in the top 10, I should say. Although Flo has said that if anybody saw on Discord, that he is planning to change that rule for next season, the fastest lap point for next season, to something similar to what we see in the top class, really, where you have to be in the top 10 to get the bonus point. If you're not in the top 10, then the bonus point does not get awarded, really. I think it's to try and avoid complications, really, from what Flo said, because at times it did make things a little bit complicated when it came to the championship standings. So yeah, that's I think going to be different for next season's Formula 2 season, so something to bear in mind there, really. But yeah, clearly the weather's not playing into Yuri's hands at the moment here, as it's taking him way too long to try and sort this one out, really. And max 5 more minutes, I'll try to find it, is what Yuri just said. He's trying to find the correct weather there, because clearly it's not playing ball for him at the moment. So just bear with, guys, just a slight delay, and we'll hopefully get to Q3 underway. And because at the moment Yuri's really struggling to try and get the correct weather, and it's for Yuri, it's saying it's either giving him dry or monsoon at the moment. It's not giving him the conditions he wants, which I think is a combination of dry and interconditions. So yeah, a bit of a pain GP4 is on this occasion, but hopefully we'll get there in the end. So just bear with, guys. We will get the session underway. Yuri's trying to get to intercondition, really. So yeah, it looks like it is trying to be interconditions for Q3, but yeah, still trying to wait to see if it will actually play ball with Yuri in the M4 for the finally give up prediction who will take pole position for tomorrow's Mexican Grand Prix. And yeah, that's that, really. And well, it's just really struggling to play ball to Yuri at the moment in terms of the weather that he wants. Okay, Yuri has said, please stop, please don't mention anything about the quality of the sound. He can't really do anything about it, really. It's a bit of an issue that he's still been struggling to fathom out, and so please don't mention it. Apparently it's good now, but yeah, just don't mention it. Alright, well, just don't, as Yuri said, don't try and mention it too much, because he is aware of it. It's just nothing he can sort out at the moment. It's something that he's been struggling to sort out for a while, and he still hasn't got down to it at the moment. So yeah, just bear with bear with when it comes to the sound, really. But yeah, just bear with, guys. Yuri's just trying to get to the right weather, of course, before we can get going for Q3. But yeah, it's not really playing ball with him at the moment, it's fair to say. And well, that's that, really. But yeah, obviously these things GP4 can. Okay, we think we've finally got the weather now. Yuri's just told us, so we can finally get going for Q number 3, and it is entered, but as you can see, it could get changeable towards the end, especially with normal wet weather. So we'll be interested to see if that plays into an effect towards the end of the session. But without further ado, let us get to the final part of qualifying finally. So yeah, that's that, really. So Ra, I might as well ask you then, who do you believe will take pole position for tomorrow's Mexican Grand Prix?
I'm going to say Evan Byrne.
I am going to go with Franco Lopez. I think Lopez will get pole for Mercedes. Of course, I'll read your guys' predictions when we get onto the track, of course. So yeah, just bear with there. And yep, it was Bence Valdinga that got announced, George, to be staying at the renamed Sauber for next season. That was the only team news for this week. And so yeah, that means there's now 11 more seats left to fill for 2023, and I am kind of predicting the way it's going at the moment. It could all change, but I am kind of predicting that it's going to be, it is going to be, what I'm looking for. Going to be probably a big finale episode, but we'll have to wait and see. But we are on normal wet tyres, surprisingly enough. Not the intermediate conditions, despite what the weather forecast is saying. So maybe it could change the inters, because there was an inter icon on the weather forecast. Maybe it could get drier towards the inter stage a little bit later on, Ra. If that's the case, and it could be very, very interesting.
Yeah, this could be interesting. It could be anyone's to take.
Yep, indeed, and well, we'll have to wait and see if it does get dry, who's going to be the first to blink on that. But Valdinger is going out on track, a very impressive effort from him. In the Alfa Romeo, the man, of course, who's getting retained by Sauber for next season to get into Q3. And as you mentioned there, Ra, during the interval, definitely rewarding them with his gratitude, really.
Yeah, pretty much is why he's staying at Sauber. And of course, their trend is up, so Sauber could be more competitive than they were. Could they be more competitive than what they were in 2021? We'll see.
We shall wait and see indeed, as Valdinger now making his way towards the left-right chicane now then on the racetrack. A few more cars are now coming out onto the racetrack as we speak right now. I think there's 7 cars out there at the moment now then, as we now wait for the final 3 cars to go out onto the racetrack now then. And so that's pretty much that, as now I think it's just 2 cars left, because I think that's now 8 cars on the screen. I don't think Valdinger's going to get any traffic on his first flying lap, but we will wait and see, as the Hungarian now, they're making his way through into the S's now then. Valdinger flicking the car in for the right and then into the left-hander now then he will go, as Valdinger now then approaching the stadium section on the racetrack. And now coming towards the stadium section now then we will go, as he will now come down towards the hairpin on this racetrack. So flicking it in through that left-hander, using a tad bit of curb on the inside. As Byrne is actually right behind him, in fact. So it looks like maybe Byrne could actually maybe get through on Valdinger down the pit straight. But we'll have to wait and see, as they both are about to start up. I think Byrne is actually going to try and go straight past him as we go onto this pit straight, as they both start their first flying lap of Q3. All 10 cars are now out on the racetrack as we speak, and Bernie is going to go blitzing by him into turn 1 there, so it shouldn't affect his lap time too much there, as Byrne going into the first corner, and he gets by on Valdinger pretty easily, but I think it would have compromised his entrance into the first corner there, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that. But Byrne coming out of turn 3 now then on the racetrack, as he now approaches the end of the first sector now then, and he does a 23.123 in that first sector. Let's see what everybody else is doing in that first sector. 24.015 for Valdinger, thanks again overtaken. A 23.707 for Mocho. A 23.479 for Gal. A 23.120 for Rogue. So only 3,000 separating the 2 Red Bull drivers in that first sector. So pretty close indeed there at that point in time. As now Byrne making his way through into the left, right, left sequence of S's now. Then we go. As Byrne flicks the car in for the left-hander, and then into the right and left we will now go. So flicking it in for the right, then into the left and into the second sector. 55.229 for Byrne in that middle sector now then, as the Irishman now then heads his way into that stadium section now, as he flicks the car in through the right now then, as he will now approach the hairpin on the racetrack now then. So flicking the car in through that hairpin, tippy-toeing his way around that part of the track. So through the right we go, now underneath the little bit there of where the stadium section is. Now coming around the Pedal and Byrne now then onto the pit straight, and the Irishman now then is going to cross the line, and the benchmark time is going to be a 1 minute 24.886. Here comes Valdinger, goes into second because of course he got overtaken by Byrne into the first corner. Here comes Mocho, across the line he will go, and he goes into second place. P2 for Roke as well. Of course, let's not forget there is a soft and hard compound of the normal wet, so something to bear in mind there, as Roke in actual fact was actually behind the Haas there, and that's why he's in second place, despite the fact he was slightly up on Byrne in that first sector. As Chatfield now then rounds the final turn himself now then. Lopez is in third place meanwhile, whilst all that was kicking off, as now Chatfield comes down the pit straight and he goes into fourth position. Armar Carr making his way around into the hairpin now then. Where's he going to place his Mercedes? Currently a Red Bull 1-2 at the moment in this qualifying session, as Carr now then rounds the final couple of corners and onto the pit straight now then will go the Mercedes driver. A lot of oversteer going around the pedal Tyler there, and Carr is now going to come across the line now then, and he goes into, well, that's not really good. P6 there for Armar Carr. Maybe that oversteer costing him a bit there, but also as well, he might have been on the harder compound of the normal wets. I'm not 100% sure there, but now Q-Puck around the final turn, he will go the final couple of corners and onto the pit straight. He will go in the AlphaTauri as Q-Puck now then comes across the line, and he's going to go into, well, he gets in front of Mocho as Quag goes into 5th place, and they are the first runs done with, and it is currently a Red Bull 1-2 at the moment.
Yep, Red Bull 1-2 at the moment. Not a great lap for my car. Let's see what everyone will do on the second run. Baldinger, I expect him to improve. But yeah, not the best laps for Mocho. I think he was on the hard compound of normal X, but yeah, everyone looks like they're improving. Mocho, because he has been overtaken.
Yep, indeed, as we now look at everybody now then, who will of course be coming back into the pits at the end of this lap. Galloway just watching on as a spectator, really, in this session. Now, of course, I wonder if anybody's going to blink and go onto the intermediate tyres, I wonder, or will they stay on the normal wets? We'll just have to wait and see, really, as Valdinger makes his way into pit lane now then in the Alfa Romeo, as we have just under 10 minutes to go in this session now then to determine who will take pole position for tomorrow's Mexican Grand Prix. I got there in the end. Anyway, some predictions now then whilst we wait. So Dennis has said Burn for pole, Michael has said Car for pole, Chris has said Car for pole, and that's it. They're the only three that have done that. And as Yuri has said in our little chat here, he believes that the right tyre choice will decide a pole today. So if we do get a switch to the intermediate tyres, or even the if it's just the soft and hard compound on the normal wet, we'll have to wait and see how that one sort of prevails, really, as we have just over 9 minutes to go in this qualifying session, as it looks like Quag and Q-Puck are the only two out there at this stage now. They still have to come into the pits, and as I say that, they're now both back in the pits as we speak now then. Just over 9 minutes to go in these conditions. Yuri has said that this condition is where the hard wet is probably better. He believes at this stage. Mocho is still in the normal wets, as you can see, so he's not opting to change compounds at this stage. Whether it's the soft or hard compound, I'm not sure of the normal wets. Is anybody else blinking to go into the intermediate tyres? We've seen that Mocho is staying on the wet. The Red Bulls have stayed on the wet, and well, one Mercedes has. We've not seen the other Mercedes spawn yet in the pit lane, as I think they're both staying on those wet tyres at the moment. But yeah, I think it seems that on this occasion everybody's sticking with the normal wet tyres for the second run. So yeah, nobody yet blinking to go onto the intermediate tyres just yet.
Nobody going for it just yet. This could be the last ones, but we'll have to wait and see on that one. I mean, there is improvements. I mean, we did see most of the drivers improving. So yeah, I think staying in the normal wets could be a good option here.
We shall see, of course, as we wait for the second flying laps to get underway then in this third part of qualifying now then, as a Red Bull comes out of the pit lane, that being Evan Byrne, so he's not wasting any time, and he's getting out there on the track with just under 8 minutes to go, and Byrne making his way out onto the racetrack now then in the Red Bull, as the spray kicks off the back of his car now then, as he now makes his way down towards the first few turns on the racetrack now then, through turns 1, 2 and 3. We will go now then, as now coming around turn 2, and then around turn 3 now then we will go, as Byrne comes up towards the end of the first sector, as meanwhile Chatfield and Valding have just gone out on the racetrack. Q-Puck pulling out just in front there of George Roke, a little bit cheeky there from the AlphaTauri mechanics. I don't think George is going to be particularly happy about that one. He'll need to dispose of him pretty quickly before his lap starts, as Byrne now then just coming around the double right-hander as he prepares to start his next flying lap. The man who's currently at the top of the timing sheet at the moment, as Byrne now then through into the S as we go through the left, through the right, then into the left, and then into the right and left. We will go on the racetrack. As Carr now then comes out on the track, he's the last to go out. He was waiting for quite a while, so he's going to get a clean run on his next lap. Will it be his final flying lap, though, of Q3? We'll have to wait and see. Byrne now then through the right-hander he goes, as he'll now make his way in towards the hairpin now then on the racetrack, as Byrne flicks it in through the left, then through the right, and then into the final couple of the corners will go Evan Byrne in the Red Bull now then, as he flicks the car in through the penultimate turn, through the final corner and onto the pit straight, and Byrne is about to start his next following lap. Is going to be a clean lap because car is already out on the racetrack now then, and all 10 cars are out there as we speak. So Byrne starts his lap as he now makes his way down towards the first few turns on the racetrack now then. And so now approaching turns 1, 2 and 3 will go Evan Byrne in the Red Bull now. Then he flicks it in for the right, then through into the left, and then into the right now. Then we'll go Byrne, and let's see what his first sector is going to look like now then, as he approaches the end of the first sector, and he's 3 tenths down on his personal best in sector 1. And bit interesting there. I wonder if he's changed the compound, as Chatfield is actually up on his personal best in sector 1 there, and he's actually behind Byrne on the racetrack, as you saw there. So he's up. I wonder if he's, because I'm looking at where Chatfield is. He was 6 tenths off, so maybe he's still finding more time in that Ferrari. I'm not sure. But anyway, Byrne now then flicking it in through the S's. He will go, flicks it in for the right, then into the left, and then into the right and left-hander we will go, as Byrne now then will approach the end of sector 2 now then on this racetrack, and he's still 6 tenths down on his personal best. Chatfield has lost time in the middle sector, and he's now down on his personal best in sector 2 by only 33 thousandths of a second, though it should be pointed out there. As now Byrne making his way into the hairpin, flicks it in for the left and into the right hander now then he will go, as now through into the final couple of corners will go Evan Byrne, as he'll now make his way onto the pit straight now then, as Byrne comes onto the pit straight, and across the line will go the Irishman. And what's he going to do? He's not going to improve by a second, in fact. Chatfield, across the line he goes, and he doesn't improve. He stays in 4th position. Valdinger down on his personal best. The Alfa Romeo driver, across the line he will go, and he stays in 10th position. Mocho, no improvement for him. Lopez up on his personal best meanwhile, but he's not up on Byrne. So let's see if Lopez can split the 2 Red Bulls or not, as Lopez comes onto the pit straight, and across the line he will go, and he loses time in the last sector, and he does not improve. So very interesting indeed. Q-Park around the final corner he will go, as he makes his way onto the pit straight, currently down in 8th place. Q-Park across the line he will go, and he improves to go up into 4th. A good effort for him there. Rote doesn't improve. He stays in 2nd place, and he looked to be way off, and it's because he made a mistake, in fact, whilst he was behind Q-Park. He was actually up on his personal he was actually up on his personal best as well.
Yeah, and that's a big mistake. I don't know how up he was compared to his teammate. I don't know how up he was on his personal best.
I think he was up on it on Byrne. Was actually up on Byrne in the first sector, so that mistake has definitely cost him. Gal goes up into 6th, but Carr is on a purple lap here in the middle sector, and he could maybe snatch pole there off of Evan Byrne. We shall see. He left it last, so he went down last on track, and it might have paid off perfectly for Carr, but he needs to hook up this last sector because his teammate wasn't able to, because he was up on his personal best, not on Byrne, but he was up on his personal best and then lost it in the last sector. So we'll see if Carr is able to keep up with this or not. But Carr, down the pit straight he goes, across the line. Will he go to the top of the timing sheets? Carr across the line, and yes he can, by 2 tenths of a second. Carr to the top of the timing screens, and he's currently on provisional pole position at this stage.
Yep.
And, well, Ra didn't say much there, to be honest. I think he may have got a little bit distracted in the background. But, yeah, Carr on the top of the timing screens there, Ra. Good effort for him. I think Ra is actually...
Yeah, good effort from Armagard to get it. And this should be his last run. I don't know if anyone else will get another run. Maybe Byrne might have one final say on this one, but we'll have to wait and see. George Roque, with that mistake, he blew it, but I feel like he would have lost that. He would have not gone pole because of Q-Fog.
Yeah, I wonder, Yuri. But anyway, as we just have under 3.5 minutes to go in this session, I wonder if anybody's going to go out there and do one more flying lap. Of course, they'll need to get out before the 1:24 mark, otherwise that will be it for their qualifying session. Mocho down in 9th, not exactly ideal, not exactly what he was looking for, but either way, he is the only Haas driver in Q3, of course, and obviously he will be wheeled back into the garage as we speak at the moment. But yeah, that's pretty much that. Just over 3 minutes to go in this qualifying session to determine the grid, determine who will take pole position for tomorrow's Mexican Grand Prix here at Mexico City, as Q-Park now back in the garage. Is anybody going to blink for the intermediate tyres? I don't think so, but we will wait and see on that. We're just under 3 minutes to go in this session now then. And Q-Park now then will get wheeled back into the garage now then. So with 6 tenths, the gap covering them at this stage as Kupok gets wheeled back into the garage. Gal is also back in the pit lane at the moment. But yeah, we'll wait and see if anybody goes out on track or not, as they have just under 2.5 minutes to go to get themselves back out onto the track if they can. I think some will, but others won't. We'll just have to wait and see who that is. Of course, Byrne was the first car out on track on the second lap, so whether he'll still be first on the track when we come to the third lap, we'll have to wait and see on that, really. But yeah, that's that. And nobody has blinked to go onto the Inter, so we've had full wet running for the entirety of this session, Ra.
Yeah, no one's blinking at the moment to go for the Inters, but maybe something unexpected will happen. But I think it looks unlikely that that anyone will be switching on the intermediates. But let's see who will go on time for their third and final run.
It's the Mercedes of Franco Lopez that's going to go out there first of all. So he's going to give himself one more chance to try and see if he can snatch pole off his teammate Armar Carr. He's now gone onto the track. Chris Chatfield is also going out on track for Ferrari. So both of those guys are getting one more lap in, as is Bence Valdinger, to see if he can get any higher than 10th position. He's the only guy over 2 seconds behind Armar Carr. And Michael Mocho is also going to give himself one more lap. Is anybody in the top 3 going to give themselves one more lap? 27, 26, 25... 24, and no they won't. So Carr has got to pray he's done enough to get pole, because Lopez is out there on the racetrack and he could potentially stop him from getting pole position here. Could Lopez perhaps maybe make it a Mercedes front row lockout?
There's a chance he will. I think knowing that the track conditions could improve, maybe it might improve. Let's see. I mean, Carl was way down before he went quickest, so there is a lot of time to find.
Indeed so, as Lopez now then making his way around into the S's now, then he goes with under a minute left of the session now then, as he comes around the left-hander, and then now he'll approach the stadium section of the racetrack now then, as he will now start his final flying lap of qualifying now then. Through into the baseball stadium goes Franco Lopez, as he will now make his way in towards the hairpin now then. He will go, flicks the car in through the left-hander now then. To the right he goes, and now approaching the final 2 corners will go Franco Lopez in the Mercedes now then, as he flicks the car in through the final couple of corners and onto the pit straight now then. He will go with 23 seconds left. He crosses the line roundabout very soon now then, coming onto the straight. He'll obviously get a clean lap in front, and Lopez starts his final flying lap of Q3 now then. Will he be able to go quicker than Carr? Let's wait and see, as he will now make his way down this straight. Lots of bumps in the middle of the road now then, but Lopez now then down towards the first 3 corners on the racetrack, into turn 1 and then into turn 2 and 3. He will go on the racetrack, flicks it in for the left, then through into the right. Let's see what sector 1 has. The checker flag is out. That is the end of the section. What is sector 1 got in store for Franco Lopez? And he is 2 tenths down on Carr in the first sector, but 1 tenth up on his personal best in sector 1 now then. But crucially, he is down on Carr in sector 1 now then. Unless he can find some time in the last 2 sectors, 2 tenths is a lot of time that he needs to find in the final 2 sections if he wants to snatch pole off his teammate. Through into the double right-hander we go now then, as he now makes his way down towards the S's now then on the racetrack, as he'll now flick the car in through the left and then through into the right and left and right and left. So we will go very, very soon. That made no sense whatsoever what I just said there, but there we are. In towards the middle sector now, then we go. And Lopez still up on his personal best, but not by much, only by 4,000. So really, Lopez losing quite a bit of time in that middle sector. And I think he might, and if it stays like this, he might actually lose more time again in that last sector. He just can't seem to hook it up in this last sector, but it might be enough for Carr to get pole position, unless somebody behind puts in a miracle and snatches pole away from him right at the end of qualifying. But anyway, Lopez round the Mansell corner he goes now then, into the final corner and onto the pit straight will come the championship leader, Franco Lopez. Onto the pit straight. Can he find some improvement now in the Mercedes? Lopez across the line. He will go. He crosses the line and he does not improve. He stays in 4th. So Byrne has out-qualified him in this session now then. So Chatfield across the line. He goes in the Ferrari. No improvement. He stays where he is. Valdinger up on his personal best. He crosses the line now then, and he gets in front of Mocho and goes up to 9th. But for how long? Because Mocho is up on his personal best in the Haas now then, as he now makes his way onto the pit straight and across the line now then. He will go and he improves but stays in 10th position. Keepot didn't have enough time, nor did Clark, and nor did Burns. So that's that then. So that's qualifying done. And as a result, for the first time in many races, why have we gone to the main menu? We need to have a look at the pole lap there, Yuri. You're going a little bit ahead of yourself there. But as a result, for the first time in, I want to say, well, many races in fact. Let me check when the last time he got pole. For the first time since the Spanish Grand Prix early on in the season, it is Amar Carr who has taken pole position for tomorrow's Mexican Grand Prix. And, well, what a lap there for Amar Carr there.
Yeah, what a lap for him. I mean, he did make a mistake in the final corner, made a mistake in the final corner on his first lap as well. So, yeah, found a lot of time in the first two sectors, unable to get more in the final sector. So, brilliant lap from him.
And we're now going to take a look at Amar Carr's pole lap here at Mexico. So me and Ra are going to stay silent, and we'll allow you to see how he got pole position.
You are currently P1, it's a great lap. Only sector you're not fastest in at the moment is the last sector by a couple of hundredths. We can't afford to slow down too much.
And that is how Amar Carr took pole position for tomorrow's Mexican Grand Prix. A very good lap indeed. But the question is, can he finally get his first victory of the season with only 4 races left in this 2022 season? But either way, a very good lap for Amar Carr, and he'll be determined to try and get a victory tomorrow. But here is your top 10 then for the Mexican Grand Prix. Amar Carr takes his first pole since the Spanish Grand Prix, with Evan Byrne in second. George Rote will start in third, with Franco Lopez in fourth. David Kupak, a very impressive fifth, with Chris Chatfield in sixth. Mikolas Gallez in seventh, with Roman Quagg in eighth. Bent Valdinga, a very impressive ninth in the Alfa Romeo, with Michael Mocho completing the top 10 for Haas. But either way, Ra, should be quite an interesting race tomorrow.
Yeah, an interesting race tomorrow. Let's see what can happen, and this is going to be an exciting race tomorrow.
Yep, indeed. Well, that has been it then for the qualifying session here at Mexico City. I hope you have enjoyed it. A very, very entertaining session for all 3 qualifying sessions, and hopefully we'll be in for an entertaining race tomorrow. Of course, we're not done with live streams just yet, because coming up in just over 40 minutes' time, we have the Formula 2 race over at Brno, which is Kai Ceresnia on pole position, and also we have Nicholas Zorbach and Van Amersfoort Racing, who have a slim chance of wrapping up both the drivers and teams titles, but I think both of them will need a lot of luck. I think personally both of those championships are going to go down to the wire at Balcar. cars say. But until then, guys, that has been it. I hope you have enjoyed it. So thank you all for watching. I've been JW97. He's been Ra, and we will see you tomorrow at 5 p.m. BST for the 71 lap Mexican Grand Prix. Till then, take care.
Goodbye.